Hello, artists and hit makers. First, a huge thank you for tuning in and or being here in person. Huge thank you to Secret Gallery for providing the space and giving support to the Spirit Station Collaborative. Tonight, we're going to give you a brief overview of the project, where we're at with the city, and the opportunities we have available. Then we will open it up for questions and conversations for as long as you all would like to go. I'm Michael Wicklaw, AKA Metal the Brand. I'm the creative managing partner of the project.
And I'm Computer. I'm also a managing partner on the business end, but I'm obsessed with immersive.
Awesome. For those of you who don't know, Spirit Station is a proposed immersive art exhibit based on the site-specific historical narrative of the rail yards, sprinkled with fantasy. At the center of this story is the discovery of the spirit of Albuquerque, a paranormal train that is uncovered during the recent rail yards rehabilitation. This train is based on a real train buried at the northwest corner of the machine shop. After the spirit's discovery, the subsequent storage at the pattern house, workers and community members begin to see incredible things coming from the space as the story of the train and its history with the yards begins to unfold. We will open with storylines based on 4 real rail yard workers who lived in the surrounding neighborhoods and whose descendants still reside there today. These stories share a similar background. They are drawn to ABQ for one reason or another and ended up working at the yards together, growing us into the city we are today. The first 4 are Medardo Mel Martinez, a 44-year machinist, and greatly involved in starting the Machinist Union at the yards. His family escaped the San Marcel flood and worked the yards for 4 generations. And he was known as the guy who could fix what could not be fixed. Andreas Santiago came to ABQ from Jalisco, Mexico, with the dream of working at the yards to better his family's situation. It took 14 years for him to get a position. He then spent 25 years there, mostly as a night watchman, and later entertained his grandchildren with stories of El Diablo, tempting him in the fogs of the Rio Grande. Laura and Amy Holt are sisters who left their family's cattle farm in Las Cruces to become the rail yard's telephone operators during the 1920s. They have no descendants or background to speak of beyond what we have from the census data. So this will be an opportunity for women and folks to tell stories beyond the typically male-dominated work available at the yards. Their roles in the communication hub of the yard also allow them to be the heroines of the story, responsible for keeping the magic train hidden in plain sight. Finally, there's a Native American storyline in development with Lee Francis of Native Realities to celebrate and teach about the Pueblos and their involvement with the expansion of the railroad. Our goal is to create a solid narrative framework, the lore and universe based on our local history that allows any artist to have a voice and tell their story. Other rail yard workers can come into play, or other characters can be developed as the installation evolves. So we're going to be speaking of the artist journey. What kind of artists are we looking for? The answer is simple. Any and all creatives: painters, designers, writers, comic artists, lighting designers, video artists, projection artists, folk artists, graphic designers, fabricators, builders, theatrical performers, actors, and poets. There is no end. This journey starts with artists submitting a form on spiritstationabq.com. The information collected will be reviewed and cataloged by artist skill set, place of residence, and other pertinent information. From this information, an artist will be contacted to further dial in their involvement. To help define the levels of involvement, allow me first to describe the space using project-related vocabulary. Spirit Station is currently made up of 5 zones or anchor spaces. Each anchor space and the pieces found within have separate design narratives. For example, the pattern house is the main anchor space. Inside this anchor space is the spirit of Albuquerque, which is the paranormal train and the centerpiece to this entire exhibit. The train as a project is called a primary show element. The design narrative contains the element's narrative description, its size, dimensions, concept illustrations, and anything one would need to know if to build it or build something to complement it. The importance of this verbiage and documentation is to concisely define the smaller projects within the bigger picture in order to delegate them to artists. The type of show elements that may be proposed fall into 3 categories. The first is working on anchor show elements that have developing or set narratives. This would be something specific. For example, the train's exterior decoration, music and or sound design, a planned outdoor sculptures, technical design and fabrication, etc. This will be our primary focus leading up to the production of the space. The second is creating complementary show elements to already determined themes that support the narrative definition of the anchor space. For example, in the addition anchor space, the room center is the train car show element. And the room has two themes, one side of it being red and fire, and the other side being blue and water. This theme is based on the two making steam power for locomotives. An artist can use this broad theme to propose a written design narrative for a piece that they believe fits. This is an opportunity to make something that tells a story, adding to the Spirit Station universe. The theme can be as simple as the color descriptions, red and blue, or be based on an amount of historical source material. The third and last is proposing an original work that will be put into a flexible space. This space can be seen as a self-contained area in which an artist may use its specific parameters to create something unique. We have two flexi spaces available in the exhibit, open for proposal. Linking a flexi space design narrative to the universe is an intended goal, but does not have to be. In any of these situations, there are different layers to show elements. These layers in the artist's design narrative will be worked through, designed, defined, and then delegated to persons with the appropriate skill sets to fulfill its requirements. One may envision something but not know how to build it, decorate it, etc. The Spirit Station team is going to manage people in the hopes that teams can be made and the pieces be collaborative. It is planned for some pieces to rotate out over time. Others may remain or redefine themselves in the exhibit. The question we are asking is, what do you want to say in the lore? How does this give you an opportunity for personal artistic expression? With these thoughts in mind, here is a list of the zones and anchor spaces that are open for proposal at this time. A deeper history and connection can be provided if something specifically speaks to you. Please reach out. In the pattern house, obviously, there's the train will be the main attraction. While we have a good sense of the direction of this element, we are open to ideas on pieces that may fit on its exterior, as well as some room in one section of the inside. Not listed is the ceiling, which will be covered in lighting and video elements to create paranormal weather patterns and light shows. Lighting designers can propose the creation of a loop or ceiling show, or collaborate with musicians to create a specific song and show piece that is activated through other elements in the space. The UFOs are a pair of hangout spaces and slide that allows for a rotating backdrop from muralists, surrealists, or other artistic mediums. Next, we have the two flexi spaces. These are both 14-foot by 16-foot rooms accessible only through the train with 16-foot ceilings. That will be self-contained experiences and storylines. These are the biggest individual spaces we have and welcome collaborative proposals or ideas that we can help create together. The gangway connection is the space between trains as you travel from one building to the next. At opening, this smaller area will tell the story of the night watchman and his trials with El Diablo, but it will be open to ideas in the future as well. Another major space will be the artist residency corner in the main pattern house room. This is a similar 14 by 16 by 16 foot space, as just similar to the flexi rooms, but it is open to the whole main space. We will be accepting proposals from artists who find this of interest. This residency includes working heavily with us to develop your vision and includes a living stipend as well as payment. We expect this space to rotate quarterly, and there will be additional expectations, including creating a print for the station to sell at the opening and possibly some community activity, including presentations or demos. Moving into the addition space, the train car continues and is open to ideas. There will be two murals that roll lazily by, open for all types of artists that can create long scene loops. Above the train sits the heart of innovation, the powerhouse of the train's magic. While we have an idea of its direction, it too is available to your ideas. Moving to the spaces outside the addition train, the possibilities are endless. We plan on having a raised seating area in each corner. that allows some sort of game or puzzle to keep guests involved. Beyond that, the whole room is open for interpretation within the blue and red themes. A hallway leading back into the train will be another rotating space available to proposals at the start. It will be an installation called El Calle de los Perfumes, a nod to the South Bareilles sewage and meatpacking plants that no longer exist. While these are primary indoor spaces, there are opportunities beyond the interior. There will be murals outside of the building celebrating collaboration, innovation, and community. Likewise, there will be exterior sculptural elements open for proposal. If you have an idea that resonates with you inside of this narrative universe, we want to work with you on it. If you are a food creator, we would love to speak with you about opportunities with packaged goods or hot food on a rotating basis. I'm sure we have left some things out. So if you do think of something rad that we didn't mention, please don't stop that in your proposal. Finally, we will be hiring an admin person from the surrounding area to handle our bookkeeping, HR, payroll, general office manager stuff. If you or someone you know has experience and fits the bill, please write with a cover letter and resume about why you are interested in working with us. So compensation. The big question that artists are thinking is, what am I getting paid? There are many different ways for this to work. People working on site during the build will be paid hourly for their work. In the proposals, artists should propose what their payment should be. Creators will be paid for their creations, whether writers developing stories within our framework or musicians creating tracks to be played within the show. Creators and contributors will also be able to sell their goods in our store and online. There will be hourly employees at opening who we see as performers embodying characters within the universe. Certain long-staying show elements or pivotal narrative elements will be eligible for compensation through our royalty framework. This framework is currently in development. It should be noted that this is a risky, creative project. Spirit Station will receive investment funding needed to bring the project to opening. So we are offering labor investment as an opportunity to delay some of the upfront costs. This would be at the option of the contractor or artist. We would want to be transparent and share that the majority of profits in the first 2 years will go to paying back investors who back this project, whether financially or through labor. On that note, we are also currently accepting investors starting at $10,000, and we'll be happy to speak with you about that outside of this meeting. The remainder of profits will be going to create a nonprofit community worker space that promotes the same community collaboration, innovation ideals of the Spirit Station, while providing training in the building, production, and tech skills used to create this project, as well as future creative opportunities to anyone interested. So now, closing thoughts. We wanted to keep this brief, laying out a framework of our creative approach in building this 4,000 square footish immersive space. We want to know how you see yourself working in this space. What excites you about this project? And with this space, what do you want to say? With that, we want to open the floor for discussions. And that was really hard because my phone has got the spiderweb app. So it's like terrible. And I think I did okay. Cool. So I guess, does anyone have questions in here? People want to start? Or do you want to start in the chat? How's the chat look right now? If anyone's in there.
If artists present similar, first of all, hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, good.
Good.
If artists present similar proposals, is there a process on which one would get chosen, or would you combine them, or?
So the question is, if two separate people put in a similar proposal, what would be the process of that? And it would be something where if the proposal's on a level to really sink in down deeper with, we would get everyone in the same room and sort of talk about what are the different parts of the vision for each person, and then see what their skill sets are, and hopefully align both of them working on a similar project together, and then incorporating other people who may be in a stronger skill set on something that is maybe more of an icing or a sprinkle part of the cake of the show element.
Cool.
Cool. And anyone in here would like to ask a question? Yes, Tony.
So if I'm good at both digital content, audio visual, making loops, and I'm also good at performing live, which would you prefer? Which are you leaning more towards?
All of it.
All of it?
And so just specifically on sound design and music and video, there are the pieces that we have again, a design narrative. So some of them have sound requirements that need to be fulfilled. So there may be, like we said with the first round, it's something that complements it or it is it itself. So then you would be placed on that, or you could be able to see if that's an option you'd like to do. Or if you propose something, we see how that fits in the narrative. It can go either way.
Yeah. This is all through the form.
This is, yeah, the form done on spiritstationabq.com that gives us a relative overview of who the person is, where they live, what's their skill set, and then we'll begin reaching out to people individually. And we have an area in that form that has proposal. So go ahead and have what your idea is ready. And it can be as simple as a paragraph, a design narrative describing something as a paragraph. Like what is it? Like all the different senses. And yeah. Yes.
Yeah, my question is about flexibility. So they seem pretty large. Are they going to be attributed to singular artists, for example, like music artists in there, and then how are those put together?
For the Zoom chat, we were asked with the flexi spaces, is it just a single artist putting it all together? Is it multiple people putting it together? And my answer is it can be any and all of those things. But since they're flexible spaces, they don't necessarily have to be tied in with the universe. But if they can be, that's great. But you would have, you'd propose this idea, and then there may be aspects of it that we can incorporate other people with, or if you see. You have a concept illustration, you have the paragraph, and then we sort of get people with you in order to do that. Does that answer that question? Great. Anyone else in here? Donovan.
Part of like creating, there was an area that we're interested in. Would we work with you, like give a general idea of like what the skill set was, what we're envisioning, and then work with you guys on making sure that it fits neatly with the narrative? Is it so you guys, is it incorporating outside ideas, like meshing it with the existing?
So there's going to be a little bit of that and a little bit of it can just be something new, because like we said in the addition, a lot of that room, we don't know what's in there. We have an idea of 2 table spaces that are somewhat elevated. We have the train car and that the perfume alley, but really anything else that could go in there could happen. But yes, once it comes in the proposal and it's a certain independent idea, but we see what the skill set is, we will communicate what could be done that is available that we know that needs to be done. And that answered that question?
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah, so I'm just curious if you go over again, how people can like sort of collaborate and involved. They're not necessarily like designing a room, like you mentioned, the food vendors.
One more time, sorry.
So I was wondering if you could go over again, how people can be involved, not necessarily designing a room, you mentioned about the food.
Oh, the food and.
What's on the goods.
So the other, we were asked, are there any other ways that people can be involved other than the artistic proposals to contribute either with things that we're already making or with new things that can be proposed? So the food part is more geared toward at opening. We want to be able to offer refreshments to guests that are locally made, that partnerships with different people. With anyone in Albuquerque, but we're going to give priority to Barelas, San Jose, and South Broadway and South Valley, and downtown. So food is one way. Tim?
Outside of actually contributing to rooms, I mean, we will have employees, retail, the bar will have employees, if you're a bartender, set you up with our partner there, and you can apply that way. But it's like retail, performers in the actual space, and ticketing is the other. That's like, we're gonna have like 15 regular jobs when the space is activated. Everything art-wise is independent contracted. Like we're working with you as your own entity, choosing to collaborate together.
Okay. I have a follow-up question for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you're interested in retailing, you mentioned or working at the bar, how would you reach out to them?
Okay, so that's like a year out. Like our timeline is July of 2022 is like the absolute earliest that we would be able to open. I think we forgot to say that. In the
Yeah, we forgot to say that.
Sorry about that.
But
So that's like next year that we get to actually have it in that sense. Besides the admin that we need to hire sooner than that to start kind of running that kind of stuff.
so sorry that Tim doesn't have a microphone, but just to talk about what was talked about. Other ways of helping, we talked about how we'll be hiring about 15 people, retail, ticketing, and sort of performers that are, they walk around the experience to aid people and also perform. And then there's the Still Spirits bar car, where our freshman partner will have their own opportunities. And just to add to that, the rail yards, when we're up and going, we're going to be an anchor spot in that development. So there's a promenade there, and what we want to do is be able to activate that on a regular basis with just sort of any amount of programming. The one that we're really excited about is we want to do classic Tetris and Dr. Mario on the sides of the rail yard building, the boiler room in the promenade, because anyone can kind of come in and play those games and watch them and not necessarily not know what's going on or feel gratification from lines being cleared. So there's that, and then we have the Wheels Museum there, as well as the Rail Yards Market, and then there's Art Walk. So to extend the Art Walk footprint to a party, to like, you know, people start downtown and they go down, we're gonna need bodies for that. So I don't know exactly how that's gonna materialize just yet, because we're in an early spot in the development of the project, but that goes more to answering the question. And actually, is there anyone in the chat that we can talk with?
Well, we did have a couple that I answered directly in chat.
Okay.
So, let me see. Graphic design, we do graphic design. I did mention that we have what we need currently, but we may need your help in the future. So if you're a graphic designer, you can still fill that out and tell us. There's no knowing what we're going to need it for.
Yeah, there's no knowing what we're going to need. The person that commented said, "Oh, do you need graphic designers?" We need anyone and everyone to submit, so that when the opportunity comes, we have a database that we can just go to and just plug and play. And this is about right now, and what we're doing here is we're starting to build a relationship with people who are coming in early, so we can put you in places as it's materializing. And then once we open and we figure out this quarterly or biannually or whatever basis of things switching out or how that's going to work, that will give us the experience we need to understand how it moves forward. So there's no deadline to interact with the Spirit Station project.
And then proposals can go. I mean, right now we're going to have you on the website, but you can also email us directly at spiritstationabq@gmail.com, and we'll probably send like a info@spiritstationabq.com that goes to that Gmail, and connect with us directly. So if you have questions about it, like the forms are kind of to fill it out so that when we're ready, we can get to you. But if you have specific stuff to come to us with, or want to talk, or want more information, because this is our first real presentation. Most people have been around in a long time. And, you know, spiritstationabq@gmail.com. We'll get back to you right away. Happy to talk about it. Or clarify more. Because it's a big idea. There's a lot of parts that sometimes we forget to mention.
And we don't even we have it like every week we find new questions with new sets of answers. Like it's never like there's never an absolution with it. It just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And yes, sir.
Yeah. What is your selection process for choosing artists and collaborators? And is your community advisory board involved in that process?
The community advisory board, we are going to be figuring that out sooner than later, but we kind of have to start with the artist stuff now. And a lot of the stuff that artists will be put on right now, or what the pool we're looking for, is stuff that we've already pitched, that we've pitched and has been public for a while and the city knows about. So all of those are sort of the anchors and the mainstays, and those have to get sort of done first. And I don't know if you guys saw, but you know, a 2x4 has quadrupled and it's only going up. So the budget that, you know, when we started this project last year, there was an idea of what the budget should be. And then that budget is no longer viable with everything that we thought of, because everything's quadrupling and even going higher. So with the selection process as of now, it's going to be, we're going to see people's applications come in with the proposals. We're going to see what their skill sets are. We're going to see what those proposals are, talk about them, but then also see if we can plug and play with the design narrative requirements that they may be good at with what we're doing, so they can just kind of get in there. And it's going to be like, who are you? What do you do? Okay, let me see the list of what I need and how that fits. But when it's open, or when we have we know the proposals that are new that we haven't, that aren't the anchor mainstays, after we open, or when the advisory board is in, the proposal will be given to them. Like we'll show them the proposals, and then we'll get their feedback on it, and that will influence our selection. And one of the major points is we will give preference to Borellis, South Broadway, San Jose, South Valley, downtown, but like sort of in that order. Residents will be big, and yes.
Here's the narrative right now. It's like there's not an effect or something like that.
So with the question was, do we have a place online with all the materials that people may be able to access? Either it be historical narrative that we have discovered through people's research through census data, or the families that we've come in contact with, or parts of the universe that are more fantasy-like. All of those will be made available for people. We don't have that available just now. Really, it's watching our first presentation, watching this presentation to sort of get an idea, and then we'll make that stuff available rather soon. As soon as like probably within the next week or two, have something available with that so people can go off of. Anything else in the chat? No. Okay. Anybody else in here?
Hey, Michael, it's John. I had a question.
Hey, John, what's up?
Hey, I'm speaking on behalf of me and Jeremy. He can't make it today. So
no worries. You guys are a unit.
Oh, yes. So just as far as like timeline, we kind of have this idea. We're going to kind of flesh it out before we propose it. What would be like, is there kind of a deadline when you really need to see something, like if it's fairly detailed?
So the timeline right now is from now until June, we're getting our pieces cataloged in a way to where you can price them out and figure out how to delegate labor to them in a project-oriented schedule format. Okay. And yes, so something like that, I definitely get to earlier. Oh, by the way, people, he has asked. Sorry, it's so difficult. I bit off more than I could chew on this one. Okay, so he asked if there's something more detailed you're proposing. What's the timeline like of what we're doing? So my answer is, between now and June, we're working on figuring out the schematics for all of the main pieces and the pricing, so we know where to pull back or how we're going to execute certain things within an amount of budget. So earlier the better, but so that's June. By July, we're hoping to sign a lease with the city. And when that happens, we won't be able to get in the building till January of 2022. So that month is going to be us fabricating like the train and the bigger things in the main room in the pattern house. And at the same time, we're building slab and an extra building or buildings on the side of it, on the mirroring the pattern house. So between January and like July of 2022 is when production is, and things can kind of come in, but I kind of want everyone to be plug and played by January 1st.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone else in chat? Anyone else in here? Well,
I'd love to ask a question.
Yes.
just to clarify, so say we don't necessarily have a proposal, but we still want to be involved in the things that have already been proposed. Is there going to be opportunities for that as well?
Yeah, so the question is, if you don't want to propose something new and want to contribute to what's being talked about, yes, that's so you can turn in the proposal, the form on our website and not fill out the proposal part, or just put interested in working on pieces that are already in the works, and then we have your skill set. That's the main thing we want to do, is we want to see these proposals, but if in fact they're there, but if not, we need bodies, because we're making the schedule of how things are getting built, when they're getting built, and sort of a timeline that's rough, so our deadlines can be met. And if something comes up and we plug you into it, it's good. And then if someone leaves, it's okay, because we know what they're going to do. We know to need to find that person for that time.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. I think we've called it. I think we've officially called it. This was so fun. You know, it's in person. I'm in a place with people. They can see me, but I kept my eyes closed the entire time. All right. So everybody, thank you so much. Get excited and just sign up for the email list on spiritstationabq.com. Fill out the artist form. And again, you can propose something. You can just say that you're interested in doing your skill set with it. And yeah, just be really excited. And I thank you for that excitement. Cool. All right, I'm turning this off, and rock on, guys.